All right. We're going to start on page 103 with currency conversions. And I first want to start by explaining the table. Because if you can't understand the table, you're not going to be able to do any of the conversions. So, first thing to point out, per US dollar. Remember what the word per means? Divide on the bottom. So per US dollar means, boom, dollars on the bottom, per 1 US dollar. So if we're talking about this first line here, it should be all these numbers. In this box, that would be 0.742 euro per 1 US dollar. Now, in the middle column, you'll see how it says in US dollars. That means it's telling you this number is a US dollar. So a US dollar is 1.3486 over 1, in this case we're talking about euro, 1 euro. And that's how you can find which one we're looking at. So if we go down to Chinese yuan, this one is per US dollar. So it's 6.089 yuan over 1 US dollar. And here, that's in US dollars. So that is $0.16422 over 1 Chinese yuan. All right. Now, with that, we have just answered number 1, which is right, 2 identity ratios from euros to dollars. We've done that. Now let's go ahead and answer these questions. So we'll start with number 2. You're in Madrid, Spain. You have $500. So start with what they give you. Change that to euros. All right. So if you start with dollars, that means you want dollars on the bottom, right? The same concept of conversions apply. So you got to go, this is per US dollar. So I want the last column, and we're talking about euros. So it's top 0.742 euro. Now you'll notice my dollar signs cancel out, and I multiply across. So you will have 371 euro in Madrid. Now in number 3, you're leaving Madrid. And when you leave, you have 350 euro. You did not spend much, but that's okay. All right, so when you're leaving, you want to change that back to dollars. Well, now you have euros in the top, so we want 1 euro in the bottom, meaning we want in US dollars, that middle column. So I'm going to use 1.3486 US dollars. Change colors. My euros cancel out. I multiply across, and you are taking home $472 and a penny. Okay? So that's euros to dollars in 2 and 3. Let's go to number 4. You return from Cancun with 2,000 pesos. So 2,000 pesos. Okay. How much are they worth in US dollars? So, what do you want on the bottom? 1 peso. That means you're looking for dollars in the top. So we're looking for in US dollars. So we go to the Mexican peso, and we've got 0.07473. My pesos canceled out. I multiply straight across, and I end up with $149.46. I don't know how the other countries do it, but when we're dealing with American money, right, you should always be rounding to 2 decimal places. So you might just want to make that kind of a common theme for all of them. Always go to 2 decimal places just to be safe. Let's look at number 5. McDonald's Big Mac costs 16.68 Chinese yuan. Compare that to US dollars. Okay, well, I want 1 Chinese yuan in the bottom. So that means I'm looking for US dollars in the top. That's the middle column. So I will have 0.16422. My Chinese yuans cancel out. I multiply across. And that Big Mac in US dollars would be 2.74. And it says, how does that compare to a Big Mac you pay in Indiana? I don't have any idea. I haven't been to McDonald's in months, so I don't even know what a Big Mac costs. So I think that's a dumb question. So I'm moving on to number 6. You can get a reasonable meal in Japan for $10. How much is that in yen? All right, so now we want a dollar in the bottom. So per US dollar, now we're looking at the very last column, and we want yen, 102.1 yen. So our dollar signs cancel out. I multiply across, and it will cost you 1,021 yen for a reasonable meal. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds expensive. I know it's not. I mean, it's $10. Well, it's $10. That's more than I spend. Whatever. 7. Ooh, I like 7. You're on a train from India to China. And you want to know how many won you will get out of your 10,000 rupees. Can we use the table for this? Well, absolutely we can, right? We start with 10,000 rupees. Now, from those Indian rupees, right, when you say, okay, I know that rupees got to be on the bottom. Well, the only thing I can change rupees to is dollars. Dollar, dollar, dollar. So, 1 rupee is $0.016. Well, I can then, okay, so wait, that gets me out of rupees. Now I'm in dollars. Well, I don't want to be in dollars either. So if I want to put $1 on the bottom, now I'm in per US dollar. So I'm using the last column. And where am I going again? I'm going to China. So we're going to use those Chinese yuans. In the last column, 6.089. This allows my dollar signs to go away. And now I am in Chinese yuan. I multiply that straight across, and those 10,000 rupees will give me 947.24 yuan, Chinese yuan. Pretty exciting, pretty exciting. Number 8 is a good comparison problem. We've got 50 US dollars and 50 Australian dollars. So if you're buying a jacket and it would be $50 or 50 Australian dollars, which one's more expensive? Well, it doesn't matter which one you choose to change, but we need to get them into the same currency so we can compare them. So I don't know why I chose to compare or to take my 50 Australian dollars and change them to US dollars. So if I'm putting the Australian dollar on the bottom, that means I'm using which column? That's right, the middle one. So I have 0.87594. That allows my Australian piece to go away. I multiply across, and I get 43.8 Australian dollars. So this jacket will cost you $43.80 in Australia. Whoa. It'll cost you, and now we're talking about American money, right? Oh, I need a color. Because we've changed it from Australian money to American money. So in Australia, this would cost you $43.80, and in the US, it'll cost you $50. So which one is more expensive? The US one. Now, if you are in the US and you have to pay for shipping on that Australian one, it might just be cheaper to buy in the US. Okay, so that's currency conversion. Now, I want you to go back to page 101 and 102, and I want you to try to solve all of them. So 101, 102, and these are numbers 20 to 27. I want you to hit pause. I want you to try them. And then I'm going to go through. I'm not going to take a lot of time, but maybe, half a minute each, and I'm going to talk through all the problems. But I want you to try them first. All right, number 20. How long will the trip take traveling at 55 miles per hour? So if you look right above that, you know you're traveling 120 miles. And if I'm traveling 55 miles per hour, well, I know that because I have miles here, I want to put miles in the bottom. So 55 miles per 1 hour. You still have to pay attention to where your labels are so that you have them in the right spot. So now if I take 120 divided by 55, I will end up with 2.18 hours. Number 21. Your Ford Fusion gets 47 miles per gallon. How much fuel? Okay, so we know we're doing the same trip. 120 miles is our starting. Your vehicle gets 47 miles per gallon. So 47 miles per 1 gallon of gas. That right there puts you in gallons. And the question is, how much fuel will it take? Well, if we figure that out right there, so we do this math and we come up with approximately 2.55 gallons. And then if you say, the second part of that is, well, use current prices to see how much it's going to cost. Well, if I'm traveling 2.55 gallons, and when I went home today, I noticed that 1 gallon of gas is approximately $2.29. So my gallons cancel out, and I am left with $5.85, approximately. Let's go to 22. You're going 80 miles. Your fuel gauge is 1/4 full. Oh, the humanity. Your tank holds 12 gallons. All right, let's stop there. You've got a 12-gallon tank, and it's 1/4 of the way full, 1/4. How many gallons of gas do you have? Well, what is 1/4 of 12? Remember that of means to multiply. So 1/4 is 0.25. Multiply that by 12, and you get 3. You have 3 gallons of gas in your tank. All right? So, time out. Okay, sorry about that phone call. I kind of lost track of what I'm doing here. But you have 3 gallons of fuel left. So you know you need to go 80 miles. Right? And your car gets 26 miles for 1 gallon of gas. So again, make sure you put miles on the bottom because the miles got to cancel out. So now, when I take 80 divided by 26, it's going to take you 3.08 gallons to get to this party, right? Isn't that where you're going? No, you're going somewhere. Whatever. So you have approximately 3 gallons left. It's going to take you 3.08 gallons to get there. Are you going to make it? I'm not sure. You might coast there, but remember, you got to get back. So I would stop for gas if I were you. 23. There are 15,000 gallons of water in your basement. That's a lot of water. 15,000 gallons. How long will it take the 2,500 gallon per hour pump to pump all the water out? So 2,500 gallons per hour. So you can do 2,500 gallons in 1 hour. That makes my gallons cancel out. I divide. It'll take 6 hours. Turn the page. 24. Okay, 24, I don't really see this as being a conversion problem. You've got $250 for a budget. You estimate you need 2 pounds of barbecue per person, and your favorite place charges $11.75 per pound. So here's my thinking. 2 pounds per person times $11.75 per pound, it's going to cost you $23.50 per person. You've got $250 total. If you divide it by the $23.50 per person, you will get approximately 10.6. So, right, we would say you can invite 10 people. However, are you eating some of this barbecue? Because if you're one of the 10, then you can only invite 9. Right? I just look at it that way. I don't know why that, I don't know. I'm sure you can set that up as a conversion, but I ain't doing it. 25. A quarter barrel of beer is 7.75 gallons and costs $78. So 7.75 gallons, and that costs $78. Bottles are available in 12-ounce size, and 6-packs are on sale for $5.25 each. Okay, so on the second one we have 12 ounces, but there are 6 of them, so that means we have a total of 72 ounces for $5.25. Which is the better deal if you need a quarter barrel of beer? So this is how much you need. And a lot of times people say, well, I need that, I'm just going to buy that. Well, if we're comparing two things, we want to find price per unit. Okay, so like the amount on top and the unit on the bottom. But to compare nicely, we've got to be in the same unit. So we either need to put them both in gallons or both in ounces. So I'm going to go ahead and change my 72 ounces to gallons. So if you remember, 8 ounces is a cup. Ounces go away. 2 cups is a pint. Cups go away. 2 pints is a quart. Pints go away. And 4 quart is a gallon. Quarts go away. So now I'm in gallons. So I take 72, divide by 8, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 4, and that gives me 0.5625 gallon. So if I go back to this previous page, instead of 72 ounces, I could say 0.5625 gallon. Now I can do my comparison of price, right? So the dollar amount over the unit, and in this case the unit will be gallons. So let's get to a clean page here. So I would take first $78 divided by 7.75. And the price per gallon, if you buy the quarter barrel of beer, is 10.06 per gallon. If we go to the other one, which the price is $5.25 and the number of gallons is 0.5625, the price per gallon is $9.33. So if you're looking for the best deal, this one is cheaper, right? So you should buy the 6-pack of bottles, and that would be cheaper. 26, calculations with dosages. All right, so a certain drug dosage calls for 15 milligrams per kilogram per day and is divided into 2 doses, 1 dose every 12 hours. A person weighs 160 pounds. How much of the drug should he or she get in each dose? Well, the first problem is that they say 15 milligrams per kilogram. And then they say you've got a person weighing 160 pounds. So hopefully, red flag, we need to change 160 pounds to kilograms. So 1 pound is the same as 0.454 kilograms. Right? That makes my poundages go away. And I now have a 72.64 kilogram person. So if you are 72.64 kilograms and they say, hey, you get 15 milligrams per 1 kilogram of weight. So 15 milligrams per kilogram. So my kilograms go away and I get 1,089.6 milligrams. Is that my answer? No. Why not? Because that is divided into 2. Yes, I said it. 2 doses. So if I divide that by 2, you get 544.8 milligrams per dose. Good problem. Good problem. And 27. Drug that has a concentration of 375, that's a 2. I said 3, but I wrote a 2. I'm not really sure what's wrong with me. 375 milligrams for 1 milliliter. How many milliliters? Ooh, I see a proportion problem, a comparison. How many milliliters are needed to give 1 gram of the drug? Now, this is all fine and dandy except red flag, milligram, gram. If we're solving proportions, we've got to be in the same units. So I've got to change one of those 2 numbers to be the other unit. I'm going to go ahead and say I remember that milligrams to grams, I got to move my decimal to the left 3 places. So 1, 2, 3. So my new what is this called? Proportion is 0.375 grams, because I changed milligrams to grams over 1 milliliter, is 1 gram over X milliliters. Okay, now I have grams on the top, I've got milliliters on the bottom, I'm ready to go. Now I'm going to write that without the labels, because labels can be confusing. So when I solve it right, cross, multiply. So I get 1 equals 0.375x, divide both sides by 0.375. If I could write, that would be fantastic. And you get approximately 2.67, and that is milliliters, because the milliliters are on the bottom. And that, my friends, is the last video for this lesson 11. Thank you all.